Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today we're going to be talking about my pick for new browser MMOs. That's massively multiplayer online games. That means, having like lots and lots and lots of people in a persistent world setting. Yeah, but played in your browser as well. It's like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or I don't know, whatever. Some of these might not work with some browsers depending on certain updates and things. I don't know, this whole thing has been really wishy-washy, and in fact, I really have to do this new video because my older videos on browser games really freaking outdated. A lot of games like RuneScape, you can't play that in the browser anymore, and I think that's really tragic. So all of these are newer games, and at least to the point where I've never put it in a list, and I kind of do these videos every year. So these are newish browser MMO that maybe you don't know, and if you know about it, maybe you don't know it's actually decent or worthwhile. So yeah. Keep the hype alive. Let's get into my top 5. Okay, so starting off our list, you might see a game that I very recently covered, and it's called Adventure.Land. Adventure.Land was actually, it was such a weird case. I actually had one of you guys, one of the friends and family, you guys sponsored me to actually play this game. So it wasn't a paid sponsorship by the game. You guys just really, Vossarati specifically was like, hey, you gotta play this game, it's really cool. Anyways, Adventure.Land is on Steam, and you can spend money, and I think you get like a bigger party and some other perks, but it's also a free-to-play browser game. But the unique gimmick, which maybe you can't tell immediately, it's a little esoteric, it's a little strange, just, visually. But it's a coding game. It's a game that you code. It's a game that's an MMO that is all about multi-boxing and botting. So two things that are really taboo in generally most MMOs, but that is the point of Adventure.Land, and it's actually really fun for that aspect. Be warned though, if you know nothing about coding, this is not the game for you. This is for starter coders and people who already understand a little bit about programming. There's a difference between just programming and coding, but anyways, that's another list for another day. But as long as you understand basic ideas of programming and you know a little bit of Java, or I guess general coding knowledge, then I think you can jumpstart in Adventure.Land. It could be a really good time. But it is really interesting. You do have your MMORPG, Holy Trinity, and then you also have, from your tank to healer, damage dealer like mage, but then you also have like a merchant that you need to actually kind of ferry around potions, and there's a number of different ways that you can kind of play and program the game, so kind of exciting stuff there that's just totally free to give a try. Especially in this day and age where coding is actually kind of popular. You're kind of a cool kid if you know how to code, so yeah, cool kids, check out Adventure.Land. Next up, we have a game that I have yet to do a dedicated video on, and maybe I can if you guys want that specifically, but it's called Steinworld. Steinworld, at first glance, really reminds me of, I actually did like a top 10 a long time ago, talking about retro-styled games, as well as games that are just, they're like really easy to run on low-spec machines. Steinworld reminds me of like Rake and mmorpg, or whatever that game is called, and a bunch of others that you can find on Steam. It just reminds me of like a classic RuneScape, or there's a ton of these kind of games on mobile devices, such as, I think actually, what is it, Rukoi Online? I don't know, I'm name dropping, you don't know what I'm saying, but Steinworld actually, compared to all those other games, actually looks the best, and it's accessible by anyone, anywhere, on the browser. So yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. I don't know about the player base, I don't know how many people are playing this game, or really any of the games that are going to be on this list, to an extent. But hey, Steinworld, it's one of the newer ones. I don't know, give it a shot, maybe. Now, halfway on the list, we have a game that you probably have actually heard of. It's called Adventure Quest 3D, and every time I mention this game, I have to kind of explain what this game really is, because I know it looks like one thing. This is going to be the same for games like Toontown, or maybe Fusion Fall, or something like that. These games really are about the community, which is exactly what you want to play an MMO for. But some people see it and it's like, well, it's not action combat. Well, it looks cheesy, it looks so generic. But in a way, these tropes, these cliches, the genericness of this is sort of a template. It's sort of like a springboard for really easy to create content. It's really just a foundation for community events. The developer is constantly actively playing the game. From what I can tell, that was my experience. He literally gave me a guided tour, and then we fought like this giant dragon chicken. It was pretty epic. It was pretty fun. But Adventure Quest 3D seems like it's really more of like almost like a social hub. It's more of like a chat sort of hub, and then it has RPG mechanics added to it. And, even in all that, it's actually cross-platform. And I think for a cross-platform kind of like childish, family-friendly style game, it is actually kind of action-packed, compared to many others. So, you know what, guys? Give Adventure Quest 3D a real true shot. Go get past the first impressions, because there is something a little bit deeper and different and unique in this that's, I really believe you're hungry for inside of an MMO. And hey, you can just do that from inside your browser. All right, number two. Number 2 is a game, might be divisive, and I'm sorry if it doesn't belong in this list, but I'm just gonna throw it up here, okay? It's a game called Hordes.io. And I really think I could actually put a number of IO games on here that I think technically are MMOs, such as like, I don't know, Snakes.io or something like that. There's a few that actually, they're not just RPGs, it's not MMORPGs, but, they have high player counts, though most don't. Because they're meant to be played anywhere at any time by like the smallest computers. But Hordes.io is a little bit beefier than that. It was actually one of the first big 3D IO games. So this was already separating itself from other IO games. And then it was really more of like a big team battle style game. So it had lots of players in action combat in 3D. And really Hordes.io, I think specifically how I can explain this is it's basically World of Warcraft like Alterac Valley or something like that. It's a battleground game. But that's how it began. That's how it originated. You had 2 factions, a bunch of different classes, RPG mechanics. It was PvEVP, but now the map is bigger than ever. There's more mechanics than ever, and there's more players than ever. So I think, a game can actually go from battleground or big team battle style and then, push itself into that MMO space. And I believe that Hordes.io has claimed that crown there. So if you haven't played it in a while, maybe it's time to jump back into it. Now, I love IO games, absolutely, but Hordes.io was one of my first loves. It was one of the first games that I covered on this channel, seriously, and I'm so glad that it's contesting here on this as well. But yeah, if you want to fight me in the comments below, sure, go ahead and do that. Much love. But yeah, I'm throwing Hordes.io at number 2 for new browser MMO. Even though it's not too new, but in terms of its MMO-ness, debatable. All right, guys, and I'm totally gonna cheat. I'm totally cheating, and I'm throwing down a game called Mad World. Normally, I don't mix and match games that are already released, maybe even some that are old, with games that are technically not fully released. But I'm doing that. That's just how little good browser MMOs there are in the world. Not to offend any game that actually made it to this list, they're all cool, interesting games. I'm just saying, we don't got many. We don't got many, even though a lot of the old ones, like I said with RuneScape, don't exist anymore. Regardless, Mad World. The way it looks, it appears to be like an action RPG, and it totally is. It actually has a ton of skill shots and area avoidances, and the boss fights are crazy. They'll kill you, they'll bash your face in. That was my experience. The game is very Diablo-y, even though the art style is a little bit more cutesy and cartoon. It is still very dark. It is still very grim dark, actually. The PvP was incredibly competent from when I got to play it. There was arenas, and they do actually have a lot of test times that you can jump in and do specific events. So that's what I did. I got to play the PvP. I got to play a little bit in a small open worldish area, and then went into like an open world raid dungeon thing. I don't know what to truly expect from Mad World, but what I got to play already has me super excited. And even though a lot of these events are more capped or instanced, and we don't have the full breadth of the MMO, definitely suggest you give it a shot because it teases something really epic. It really does. But Mad World, when it fully releases, the scope and scale of what maybe I could potentially see, even like a worst case scenario, it's gonna be like the browser MMO that people are playing. Right? Adventure Quest 3D might be for like, the kids. Hordes.io is the IO MMO, but Mad World is gonna be like the MMO action RPG that everyone plays. Just like back in the day we played Drakensang, we used to play RuneScape and things like that. Mad World is going to be like that new spearhead, the face of browser MMORPG, and I'm so excited to see it. But yeah, if you want to yell at me for putting a game that's not technically released yet, you know what, feel free to do that. I don't know. There's not that many browser MMOs. But if you disagree and there are some that you want mentioned, I might have actually already mentioned it in an older video. So this list was all games that I never mentioned really previously, and these are all newer games. There are some that exist that actually I still find kind of intriguing, really. There's like a zombie one. Technically, you could play Realm of the Mad God. That's actually pretty cool. Oh, Dead Frontier is that zombie one, by the way. And I'm sure there's going to be some upcoming. And like I said, there's a ton of IO games that you probably could count as MMOs. But these were the 5 that I wanted to pick and just throw out and shout out because I don't know, they were on my radar. I don't know about you guys, but hopefully you found one that's on your radar now too. But yeah, if there's one that I missed that maybe you think a lot of people are missing and that you just want to shout out, do it in the comments below. Friends and family, that's what this is all about. It's a community. These are community games, but this is a community video. I need some backup. Okay, I need some help sometimes. So this is definitely one of those cases. Even though I did my research, I played these games, I gave it a shot. There's just who knows? Through the cracks, there might be something that you want to shout and share. But guys, that's gonna be it. All I can ask is that you have fun, and you keep the hype alive. My name is Skylent, and I'll see you again next time.